I'm building a boring business on purpose, and that's exactly why I'm excited about it. Hi, I'm Dell. Welcome to my channel where I document my shift to a more intentional life. I'm shifting how I work, how I spend my time, and even where I live. These videos document me building a boring business from scratch, no hype, just me thinking through every step and making decisions along the way. Starting a B2B operations business with no name, no site, and no clients. I'm choosing structure over hype from day one. Here's why. What I gain with a boring B2B business is stability. B2B is a little bit more stable than B2C, and also it leverages my skills. I have a very strong operational background, so for me, building those skills and utilizing that to build a business makes the most sense, and it aligns with what I'm trying to do in this next phase of my life. Also, this allows me to scale. I'm able to scale a lot differently with a B2B business versus B2C. If you're unfamiliar with B2B versus B2C, just think of B2B as business to business and B2C as business to customer. So for me, allowing myself to scale is very, very important in whatever business I do actually pursue. So that's why I'm pursuing this boring business. It might be boring to others, but it's actually pretty exciting to me. I love operations. It's something that I've always been good at, and it's something I do find excitement in doing. I love to optimize things. I love to make things better, iteration after iteration. Also, the other thing with a B2B business is a bit more predictability in this because you're working with a business and you do have the insight into how they are managing their business. You would be able to tell whether you'll have this client for long term or not. Whereas B2C, you're at the whim of consumers. So, this is something that's very important to me because this will be replacing my income, not necessarily in the short term, but in the long term, it will be replacing my work income. What I give up. So, obviously, with a B2B business, it's a little bit different in terms of getting clients. You're not going to have the visibility or the ease of getting access to customers that you would from B2C if you do like social media, you do marketing, targeted marketing. You do have to network and you do have to approach your clientele in a different way. It's not going to be trendy. This is not trendy at all. This is not vending machines. This is not laundromats. This is not drop shipping. Those are all great business ideas, and when implemented well, they are excellent sources of income. However, this is not trendy. This is just plain old ops. So this is something that's been around forever. So what that takes away compared to a product-based business is that you don't have the same ways to validate your product ideas. You don't necessarily have the same way to understand if you have product market fit. So this is going to be completely different than those things like a laundromat or drop shipping or doing a vending machine where you do have a product. However, because of that, it actually makes it very easy to start up if you know what you're doing. You don't have to buy any inventory. You don't have to buy a building. You don't have to buy a vending machine. You don't have to buy all of these things. So there's really nothing for you to purchase beforehand except for, of course, a computer, which I already have. This is not like drop shipping or having a laundromat or a vending machine um, company where you have a product that you have to make sure is always available, or you have a building that you have to make sure is always open. These things don't necessarily matter in a service based business because you are the product. So that's something to keep in mind. With a service based business, you are able to get started quickly because you don't have to purchase any inventory, but because you are your product, you always have to be available. So that's something that I do have to keep in mind. And that's one of the trade offs I have to consider because I am going towards being business owner versus being an employee. I have to make sure I'm managing my time more efficiently. I have to make sure that I'm not burning myself out by taking on client after client after client and not giving myself time off, not giving myself breaks. I have to make sure that when I do need time off and I do need breaks, that I'm managing that appropriately. Other thing I have to trade off is this is something that leverages my current skills. It's not something that is exciting. It's not a passion of mine. I love operations. I love to make things better. I love to improve things. And that's definitely something I'm passionate about. But it's not a passion in the way that travel is, or even personal finance. I love personal finance. I do volunteer financial coaching, and financial coaching is something I did consider. That is a passion of mine, but it's not necessarily something that is working for me long term. I'm also passionate about my writing, but that's not something I want to do as a business. I don't want to be a writer in the sense of making that my career. Maybe when I'm older, that is something I do. Who knows? But right now, I need to find a business that aligns with my current goals and the goals I have for the next 10 years. And this is what that does. So, again, boring doesn't mean stagnant. It can still be exciting for me, but I don't have to, build a following perhaps the way I would if I'm going towards a B2C kind of company. I don't have to work around my moods in the same way, or audience growth, or having a constant output that I have to manage in order to get clients in. Once you have a few clients within a business of this nature, you can sustain those clients and you can keep having them. And then you're not focusing on marketing, you're not focusing on attaining clients, you're focused on maintaining them. So that's what I really want for myself right now. There is literally not a single business idea out there I haven't thought of. I've thought of everything. At one point, I was building an app. I was learning how to code so I can build an app. Then I moved over to understanding no code so that I can make sure that it's done more efficiently. Those are things that are cool, but they're not necessarily what I foresee myself doing. It wasn't for me. I ended up, just not enjoying it. I ended up feeling like I'm putting a lot of effort into learning a skill that I don't necessarily want to maintain. So that's where I'm at right now. I want to maintain the skills that I'm utilizing in my business. I want to grow those skills. I want to improve those skills. I'm focusing on building business skills, operation skills, automation, and AI skills. That's what the core of my business is, allowing companies to scale their operations from startup level, or maybe they don't even have an employee or anything like that. I want to help them scale from that level to having employees, building their operations, making sure that they are able to get to their next level. That's what I'm good at. I come from a background of working for companies that were in the scale up stage, and that's the bread and butter of what I've been good at. So that's what I want to do. I don't necessarily feel as comfortable with starting a business. So this is scary for me. This is actually terrifying. I will not lie. This is terrifying to start a business when it's not that I don't know what I I don't know what I'm doing. It's like I know what I'm doing, but I also have no idea what I'm doing at the same time. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not simple. It's not quick. You're not going to be an overnight success. There are people that have put in years and years and years and years of work, and then we view them as overnight successes because, oh, they blew up one day. Yeah, but they put in a lot of work before that. So you have to keep that in mind. And that's what I'm trying to keep in mind at all times. I cannot expect to succeed overnight. I cannot even expect this to replace my current income in the next 6 months. I have to think through this and make sure that this is something that can support me long term when I'm married, when I have a family, and when I need more flexibility. This is what's important to me, making sure my business supports current me as well as future versions of me. This is a theme for my year, making sure the things that I'm doing support me throughout the entirety of the next 10 years, because I can't think about anything past that. Like, there's a lot of life to live in the next 10 years, but I need to make sure the decisions I'm making, they support me for right now, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, and the next 10 years. So, if you're like me and you're choosing a path where you're going to start a business, build a business, maybe you already have a business and you're trying to scale that, make sure you're honest with yourself and make sure that you understand if that business is going to support the life that you actually want to lead. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing the steps now to make certain that it's going to be what I need long term. Anyway, thank you all. Please feel free to join me on this journey. Perhaps I know what I'm doing, perhaps I don't. I do actually have an entire business degree, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to starting a business. You do need to actually just do it to actually get the experience of building a business. Anyway, you all have a great day. Bye.